Shalom, shalom. This is Yahutsadeqnu Beyt Dawid. You can just call me brother Yahutsadeqnu. Now, I got this focus on this light for a reason. And I do cover up my camera. And you should too. Like I said, if you would call a camera a word in Hebrew, you would probably call it ayn, which means eye, because it's always watching. If the eye is not closed, it is open, and therefore is watching. So you close that eye. Cover up your camera, your front, your back camera with some tape or some cardboard or something. Okay, so I got this focus on this light for a reason. Because I was just talking and something came to me that was very important. I want you to take this to the Most High. A lot of you may be in the walk or not in the walk. Maybe have been in the walk for a while or just coming into the walk. Or maybe been in the walk for years. What I have to say to you is that this. If you are in the walk, please excuse me sniffling. If you are in the walk and you realize if you're new to this walk or you've been in this walk, but your walk just all of a sudden you just going harder, you're going stronger. You're doing the things that I'm saying in these videos, like getting the cursed thing out of your midst, getting rid of all drug sorcery, getting rid of sugar out your diet, all sugar. That is all processed by biochemical or sugars, all processed crystalline sugars. That's what I mean. If I don't mean biochemical sugars, I mean processed crystalline sugars. Please excuse me. If you are getting purging yourself of the world, okay? If you're purging yourself of the world, if you're purging yourself of worldly mazmur, of cartoons and comics and video games and sports, what you have to understand is this. When you are in the world, if you are not born into a family that is in light, a family of light, and I don't mean false light, like the light of the devil, which is not true light, it's false light, okay? If you are not born into a family of light, if you are born in a family of darkness, where you're not being raised in light, okay? Or the light is not in the fullness, there is some shade in that family, okay? Like a Christian family that loves the Most High, say they believe in the name of the Messiah, although they call him by the wrong name. I do believe the Most High will, for ignorance sake, pardon translation. But after that, you got to do it right once you know it. To him who knows it is sin, it is sin. Okay. But they believe on the Messiah, yet they're not keeping his commands. They're practicing pagan days. They go out on October 31st and dress up like the devil and get rewarded with candy. And have their children doing it and say, oh, this is for the children. On December 25th, they cut a Babylonian idol or tree and stick it in their house and fasten it with nails and deck it with apples and oranges. Ornaments. And put a 8-pointed star at the top. A fallen angel. I'm not a fallen angel, an angel. And say, just like what is that? Jeremiah chapter 10. Or they are up baking hot cross buns on Sunday morning service in springtime, claiming they like they're remembering the resurrection of our Messiah. Okay, claiming they're remembering the resurrection of our Messiah, and they getting up baking hot cross buns and weeping for TAM. I'm not even going to finish the rest. Ezekiel chapter 8. Okay, and they have all these different animals and carvings and drawings, like the bunny and eggs and hunting for eggs, or should I say hunting for the worshiping fertility bunnies and hunting for symbols of fertility, the egg. Ezekiel chapter 8. in Jeremiah chapter 10, these are two things I'm talking about, then there's shade in that family, and that's not true light. Okay, there's darkness. True light, there is no shade. It says that the Most High is the Father of lights, and every good and perfect gift comes down from above, coming down from the Father of lights, in which there is no shade nor shadow of turning. Look at the light on this, okay? Look in the light itself, not around the light. Look in the light. There is no shade. It's set apart from the darkness. There is no shade in this light. You can see shade around it, which is the reflective material around it. But in the light of itself, there is no shade. Okay? True light is pure. True light is full of itself, where it is only light, no darkness in it, to where it's clean and pure. It's not tainted. If you are seeing light that has any darkness in it, it's not true light. What it is shade. Okay? Or shadow. Okay? If you're seeing light where there is no shade or shadow, that's light. Like the sun, like these lights before you, these LEDs. Okay? But if you're seeing light and there's any darkness in it, that's shade or shadow, which is tainted with darkness. Like dropping ink in a glass of water. That's not good to drink. Okay? Whether a drop or 2 drops is not good to drink. The Most High wants us to be pure like this light, to where we are perfect before Him. Matthew chapter 5, verse 48. Be perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect. Therefore, be perfect. Be you perfect. Okay? Yahuwah, the second, that's in the New Testament, or the Berit Chadashah. If you go to the Old Testament or the Torah, Yahuwah told Abraham, our father, he said, go before me and be you perfect. Okay? He said, be set apart as I am set apart. Be Kadesh as I am Kadesh. Okay? So, what you need to do is be perfect like this light. To be pure, to purge everything out of yourself that is not of the light. And the Father of lights is Yahuwah. Yahuwah is the light. If it don't look like Him, you need to get rid of it. But what you got to understand is that if you're born into a family of darkness, a family of shade, a family of shadow, okay? Shadow is greater than shade. Darkness is greater than shade or shadow. But light, true light, is pure. You got to realize as you come into this walk, and you start reaching into the light, what you got to understand is that light reveals, like my face. Light reveals, but darkness hides. Light reveals. Hold on. Let me remove this from in front of. Light reveals, but darkness hides. Simple principle, right? You're like, yeah, I know that already. Well, have you really thought about it? Light reveals, but darkness hides. What you got to understand is that as you're coming into the light will begin to reveal things that have been attached to you while you were in the darkness. While you were in the darkness, they had no reason to pull on you and move or show themselves. They just fed, gently and quietly being fed. Or even destructively, and you had no idea it was them because they were hidden. But as you begin to come into the light, they pull to try to draw you back to the darkness. Or they will try to pull. They will attempt to pull. Now, we don't speak these things upon ourselves. We cast these things down in every vain imagination. We trample them underfoot. We burn these things with fire. Okay, with the fire of the word of the Most High, the sword of the word of the Most High. Okay? We renounce all those things and reject them. We don't accept them, refuse them. But why am I saying all this? Okay? I'm saying this because I want some of you to be encouraged. Don't be discouraged. What you got to realize is when you coming out of the darkness, the light will reveal that which was attached to you that you did not know or was not aware of. And the farther you get into the light, the more and more it will be revealed. Do not be afraid of it. Yahuwah has given you dominion and power over it, authority over it, to trample it down under feet. He gives us power to trample on lions and scorpions and serpents. Okay? When it's revealed that what was attached to you, do not be afraid. Be strong and of a good courage. Be not fearful, neither dismayed. For Yahuwah your Elohim is with you wheresoever you go. He will not fail you. He will not forsake you. But it is Yahuwah who goes before you to fight for you. That's Deuteronomy. Okay? Be strong and of a good courage. You got to understand that if you was in darkness, there's going to be something feeding. Feeding off your sin. Feeding off the corruption in your life, in your family's life. That did something, that had access because of familiar ties. Okay? But as you come into this light, the Most High will give you power first in sight to become conscious, aware, to know, to understand, to be wise. And He open your eyes and reveal to you, because He is a good friend that reveals His secrets unto His friends. And what is in secret will be revealed to you. And then that is the Most High giving you an intellectual advantage in warfare to be able to vanquish, to conquer, and to defeat your enemy, which is the devil and his angels and their children. Okay? So at that point, what you need to do is be confident in the Most High, that He will deliver you, that He will set you free. Some people want to joke on other people. Some people want to think bad or talk bad of others because they're going through things that that other person may not be going through. But you got to realize, if a person is, say, let's be real, hearing voices. Okay, that does not mean you crazy. Okay? That does not mean you evil either. Okay? That does not mean you're into something terribly wrong. That means you're coming out of the darkness. Okay? Or the Most High is giving you a gift to reveal what is there. Now, sometimes it does mean you're doing something terribly wrong. You got to figure out wherever that is. And you got to get rid of that. Like the accursed thing. Like dibbling, dabbling in the occult. Horoscopes, tarot cards, spiritists, seances, Ouija board, all that stuff. You got to get rid of that stuff. Don't mess with none of that. Don't even touch it. Eastern Star, Freemason, okay? Greek sororities and fraternities, Pan-Africanism, delving into African religions and pouring libations and dealing with masks and all this stuff. You got to get rid of that stuff. You can't have nothing to do with that stuff. Even watching and comic books and reading comic books and watching cartoons that are filled with paganism, idolatry, sometimes even sports, which were designed for the worship of pagan idols. You got to get rid of that stuff. Okay, but if you're not doing none of that, or if you're cleaning yourself up and this is happening, you got to realize that you are coming closer and closer to the Most High, and the enemy does not like it. And you did not know that the enemy was in your life. But now the Most High is revealing it to you. So now you have an opportunity to renounce that enemy. You have the opportunity to reject that enemy. You have an opportunity to submit to Yahuwah, resist the devil, that he flee from you. Because now you know it's there. How you going to correct the problem if you don't know it's there? Now, if you claim and you come into this walk and you're not encountering any warfare, you have to question if you really woken up. Because if you have been in the darkness, there has been something that was there. Feeding. Warring. It just, you won't fighting. As long as you sitting still in the darkness, it has no real, it's not going to pull you. It's where it's comfortable. It's comfortable. If you start moving forward into the light, it doesn't want to be there. It's like a creature of the darkness. It runs into the darkness when the light is turned on. Okay? It does not want you to wake up. It does not want you to go into the light. And the more and more you pull yourself into the light and it pulls back and is revealed, the more uncomfortable it gets and the stronger you will get, strong enough to bust it in them out and cause and spiritually with the sword of Yahuwah and with his shield, the shield of his help and the sword of his excellency, Deuteronomy chapter 33, verse 28. Okay? And send it going. Okay, as the Most High gives you provision. you have to understand that if you are not encountering warfare and you claim you have come into the way, you must deeply question if you're actually in the light. But if you've come into the light and you've encountering hostile opposition, extreme prejudice from the enemy, warfare terms, then you got to realize you must be doing something right. Okay? You're doing something right. Look at the light. The light wars against the darkness, and the darkness wars against the light. The light must shine itself brightly, brilliantly. It has to keep itself going. It needs a power source. That power source is your Most High. It said, you are the light of this world. Nobody hides a light under a lamp. That's part of why I'm coming out and doing these videos. Okay? A city on a hill cannot be hid for the lights of it. During the day, you can see it. During the night, it shines for the lamps. Okay? It can't be hid. You have to understand that the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness perceives it not. The light is warring against the darkness all the time. The darkness is warring against the light, but the darkness is losing. The light is winning. The thing with the light is it has to keep itself going, keep itself powered. It has to work. It has to give effort. It has to shine forth its fruits, its works. It has to go and present itself. It has to project itself. But the darkness, it runs. The only thing about the darkness is when there is no light, it takes place. But wherever there's light, the darkness cannot be. It has to run away. That's why Yahuwah, the Father of lights, it says, everyone that faces him must either bow or flee. Either you serve him or you run from him. If you're bowing to Yahuwah, you are an enemy to the devil. If you're bowing to the devil, you are an enemy to Yahuwah. As 1 James says, you adulterers and adulteresses, do you not know that friendship with the world is enmity with Elohim? Therefore, whosoever is a friend of the world is an enemy of Elohim. Okay? If you're not at war with the enemy, you have to question if you're the Most High's friend. Because Yahushua, even when he went up in the mountain and was tested, okay, he had to go through a trial, temptation. And he defeated the enemy. After that, the enemy could not touch him. However, he still warred. He was constantly casting spirits out of people, challenging spirits in people, defeating spirits. But he was victorious in his warfare. His warfare was victorious. He never lost a battle. We have to get to a point where we are like our master, Yahushua, who sits at the right hand of the Father right now, and who no man is. And I confess, I'm not Yahushua. I'm just a son of the Most High, a son of the Master, a son of Yahushua, a servant of him, a student, okay, just like you. And we all have to confess that out of our mouth, to make a confession that you are not the Messiah. Because there's a spirit of Antichrist going out throughout the world that will convince many that they are the Messiah. And they will come saying they are Christ or they are the Messiah when they are not. That is an Antichrist, okay? So everybody has to do it like John the Baptist and confess, I am not the Messiah. Okay, that is a righteous act to complete. Because the devil will try to deceive you that you are. And many spirits have gone forth to deceive many people. That's the spirit of Antichrist. Antichrist is not just the enemy of the Messiah. It is a substitute Messiah. If you're substituting the Messiah, you or Antichrist, okay, any so-called super hero is Antichrist. They're trying to save the day. Yahushua is the only one truly saved the day. Yahuwah is the only one truly saved the day through his son. Okay? It says Yahuwah is is Savior, and besides him there is no other. Okay? But he can use a vessel to save through. But it's Yahuwah who gets the esteem. It's him that saves. That's why Yahushua, by his very name, he gives the esteem to the Father. by his act that he has done. His name means Yahuwah saves. So by his very name, just calling him that, Yahuwah's already getting the esteem. It's the Father in heaven, not him, but the Father. Through him, the Father who has done it. The Father who has spoken by his mouth. The Father who has guided him. The Father who has led him. The Father's will who he is doing and not his own. If you read his own words, everything he did, he didn't say it was him. He said his Father. Not him, but his Father. Not him, but his Father. His Father. Yahuwah saves. Yahushua. So you have to look at yourself and say, are you really representing the Master's ways? Okay? Are you like this light? Because Yahuwah is the Father of lights. It shouldn't be you, but the Father in heaven. Not you, but your Father. Not your words, but the Father's words. Not your will, but the Father's will. Not what you want to do, but what the Father does. It should be you haven't done anything that you haven't seen him do. And say anything that you haven't heard him say. Okay? Look at this light. You like Yahushua. Yahushua was the light of this world. And he came into this world and the darkness did not understand. 1 John. Or should I say not 1 John, the gospel according to John chapter 1. He was revealed to this world, but the darkness did not understand. You have to be like Yahushua, where he was so filled with the Father that was not him in anything he did, but the Father. And he's the living word used to create all things. And him greater than anybody humbled himself more than all, to say not him in anything, but always the Father. He only said, if I witness of myself, my witness be true, because it's not just me, it's the Father who in the Spirit who witness of me. Okay? And he was in the Garden of Gethsemane, one of the most influential parts of my walk. When Yah brought me into the way himself, when he woke me up himself without a person teaching me or telling me or showing me who I was, without a video, without a tape, without an audio, when he just sat me down in front of the scriptures and said, your people are the Hebrews, 3 times. One of the most influential parts of my walk that Yah has taught me himself all these years is this. When I read of Yahushua in the Garden of Gethsemane, where he prayed, and though he saw perfectly what was happening, Yahushua is the Spirit of truth. He is the Spirit of prophecy itself. He is the Spirit of prophecy. And so a spirit being made flesh on earth to save man, he saw the demise that will come. But he also knew of the resurrection. But it pressed him so hard he sweat blood. Which is a medical occurrence. It actually happens. It's happened to several other people in history. He prayed 3 times. Father, please let this chalice pass from me. Chalice as in a cup of wrath. Because he's suffering the Father's wrath on our behalf. The punishment was meant for us, but he took it. Say, Father, please, if you would let this chalice pass from me, but your will be done, and not my own. The living word used to create all things. He humbled himself before the Most High and let his word be done. His will be done and not his own. Okay? He filled himself with the will of the Father, and even unto death, even through pressure of sweating blood, even knowing what he would suffer, which even if you look at medical accounts of the crucifixion, look it up, where medical doctors have analyzed the crucifixion account, and emergency doctors and trauma doctors have looked up now I don't buy into Western medicine at all. However, they do see trauma, they do see injury, and they do have some kind of understanding of or should I say knowledge of the human body and what it goes through under injury and affliction. And they say that crucifixion, hands down, was the worst, the absolute worst punishment of all time. And he experienced the worst death of all time, out of all crucifixions on record. He experienced the worst on record, which is, I would say, the worst in history. It is the worst death punishment you could ever endure. And he took that for us. And even though he knew that was what was about to happen, to where he was pierced through his wrist, and there are nerves that go through your wrist. So it's like lightning shooting through your arms. And it's pierced through his feet to where the nerves that go through his feet, these are major nerves. This is where it's lightning shooting up his feet, or it's shooting up his legs into his body. And so crucifixion, most people died through suffocation. Not through bleeding to death. Through suffocation. Okay? Through suffocation. So, because their body pulls down on them and they lean forward and they can't breathe. So then they have to pull themselves up by their wrist and go from excruciating pain and push up with their legs to excruciating pain. And then when they let go, then they have to suffer suffocation. But not only that, before then, he was up that Passover night and they took him at night before the morning. They brought him a whole way. The last thing he had was alcohol, so he's thirsty and he probably was going to have a headache later. Okay? Not saying that he drank much, but having gone all that way with no water caused him to be dehydrated. Then they beat him, spit on him, mocked him, then flogged him. Then took his wounds and put a blanket over it and ripped it off. So, you ever have a band-aid, your wound attached to that band-aid, somebody rip it off? The pain, it reopens that wound. Imagine being flogged to the bone. And then having that ripped off of you. Then having a crown of thorns stuck in your head. I'm talking about thorns as long as a finger. The type of thorn plant they used in Israel is thorns as long as a finger stuck in somebody's head. Trauma surgeons have said that, they have seen people with one cut on the scalp bleed to death because the scalp is the most vascular part one of the most vascular parts of the body. Then put before the people and then have to carry the top of the T. It was not a cross, it was a T. A capital T. In Hebrew, we call that a tel. He is the Aleph and the tel, the first and the last, the beginning and the end. Okay, most people say Aleph and Tav, but I'm speaking ancient Hebrew. Okay, the Aleph and the tel, the T, the capital T. Okay, sometimes it's written as an X, but they're the same thing. So he had to carry a 110-pound crossbar called the patibulum and carry it for a good long distance. Somewhere, I'm not aware of the exact distance, but somewhere around a mile, possibly, if not longer, from where he was being judged to the Golgotha, a good distance. Carrying a 110-pound crossbar and falling with it onto his chest. So we talking about heart damage. Okay? You fall flat face first because they usually carried it over their shoulder. And you carry it on one shoulder. You fall face first with that thing. You talking about heart damage. Most people would have died, could have died at the flogging or the crown of thorns. Okay? Not only he had been, by this time it was daytime, he had been all up, or there was still a 14th of Abib. He had been up since even. He had probably been up over 24 hours at this point. Okay? Possibly over 24 hours, because he was up that Passover day getting ready for Passover, and they went in and they spent that whole Passover service. Then they went immediately to pray. Okay? Then that patibulum fell on him. That crossbar, the top of the T. It crushed his heart. Okay? Not to kill him, but it caused severe heart damage. Then walking all that way, he already sweated blood in the beginning. He always dealing with blood loss, probably dehydration. Okay, flogging, scalp, large scalp wounds. Okay, reopened wounds, severe pain, loss of sleep. The heartbreak from his friends. All of his friends left him. And then one of his friends denied him 3 times. So he's dealing with physical pain, emotional heartbreak. And then by the time he gets to the place where they have to, I mean, before they get there, he's going through so much, somebody got to help him carry the cross. And that was the usual thing. People need to be helped carry the cross, or help carry the patibulum. And they use it was usually to teach people a lesson. And so he was beat. And he was getting beat so bad while he was carrying his cross, getting beat so bad that the person with him said, Simon from Cyrene in North Africa, he said, hold up, remember that I am an innocent man helping a condemned man. Little did he know, he was the condemned man being helped by an innocent man. Till he got to the place to where they put him up on a T. They nailed him to the patibulum, and it lifted him up on top of the T, and then put a sign on it saying Yahushua, Melech Natzarim. Or, I'm sorry, Yahushua Nazaret, Melech Yahudim. Yahushua, the King of the Jews. Okay? Yahushua of Nazareth, King of the Jews. And he written in Greek, Hebrew, Latin, and Greek. Okay? So then he has to go through this excruciation. And let me tell you, this is not wood you buy from Home Depot. And even if this wood was buy from Home Depot, you get bad splinters dealing with that wood. Even wood from nowadays. You run your hand down a piece of wood, a 2x4, 2x6, 4x4, and you're going to get a splinter stuck up your hand. Even modern wood. But this was not that type of smooth factory cut wood. This was rough cut wood because they used to crucify many people. Okay? So this was rough cut wood filled with splinters. So imagine he just got flogged. And now he has splinters sticking him in the back. So he's going from excruciating pain in his wrists, shooting in his hands and in his arms all the way into his body. Pushing up with his feet, excruciating pain, shooting from his feet all the way up into his body to excruciating pain. From hand to legs, then lean forward as he's pulling himself up. He's getting splinters in his back. So he has to lean forward to get away from it, but then he starts to suffocate. Why he's got this crown of thorns in his head and is bleeding to death. Then what happens is he had so much trauma that he basically has heart failure. That's why when a guy comes and he dies, he said it is finished. Okay, and he said it was finished. Okay, and he said, Eli, Eli, lema sabachthani, or sabachthani. Okay, why have you forsaken me? He was forsaken for us, so that we would not have to be forsaken. Okay? The Father had to turn his back on him because it says, he who hangs from a tree is cursed. So he became a curse so that we did not have to be cursed. Now it says there is no forgiveness without repentance, and that is his teaching. So that does not mean that a Hebrew who's under the covenant has to break the law. Okay? That means if you mess up, you have an advocate with the Father. At the right hand of the Father, they advocate for you in case you slip and fall. He can help to pick you up. Not an immediate curse upon you if you're truly in repentance and truly striving toward perfection. He is there to be and that you gain forgiveness by the blood and not have sin unto death. That you die as soon as you sin. You can be forgiven except for blasphemy of the Spirit. Now, my phone about to die, so I'm going to try to bring this to a close. So, he gives a cry and says it is finished. And he dies. They strike him through the side, from the right side or into his left side of his chest and pierce his heart, and blood and water come out. That's a sign that you experience heart trauma or heart failure. He died of a broken heart. You have to realize that and remember that. He died of a broken heart. Now, Yahushua did all that for you, and he knew he would go through that. What he did was he wanted to do the will of the Most High regardless. Be like this light, like Yahushua was the light that came into this world, and darkness did not understand it. You've been living in darkness. You don't understand what this light means. It means to be so filled with the Most High that there's nothing else. You just shine with his light. The Father of light, shine like the stars of heaven forever. That's what the righteous will do. They will shine like the stars of heaven forever, because we're filled with his light. Be like Yahushua. Follow him. Do the will of Yahuwah. And let the will of Yahuwah fill you in everything you do, and let it be only his will. This brother Yahutsadeqnu Beyt Dawid. Shalom, shalom.